I'll go across first to Lieutenant General D.S. Hooda, the former Northern Army commander, strategic affairs analyst, joining us this evening to give us a sense of how things are unfolding in Russia and in Ukraine. General Hooda, firstly, would you say that the resistance put up by the Ukrainian forces has been somewhat unexpected?
Absolutely, Nidhi. I don't think, the Russians expected so much resistance from Ukraine. I think what they were looking at is, if you could pressurize Ukraine at minimum cost by not launching, very large-scale military operations. And that's why in the initial stages, you did not see the use of, massive air power from the Russian side. So I think they were thinking that, Ukraine will fold, and their aim of, the change of government would take place just by sort of posturing with their military forces. Now that it has not happened, I fear that, this is the time that they'll now actually increase, and we are seeing, increase in use of air power, increase in artillery bombardments, attempt to capture large cities. So I think we are in for, at least as far as Ukraine is concerned, for some very difficult days ahead.
In fact, there was a phone call today between President Macron of France and President Putin. And after that, General Hooda, the French government said that the French president's assessment is that the worst is yet to come for Ukraine. And that echoes what you're saying. And we've seen that, as you mentioned, the last couple of days, with the Russians stepping up their attacks on civilian areas in particular. So are the next 48 to 72 hours really going to determine which way this goes now?
Absolutely, Nidhi, because I think for the Russians, the capital is the key. If they're able to capture the capital, and frankly, it's not going to be easy. There is going to be resistance from the Ukrainian side. But certainly, I see the Russians sort of ramping up their offensive, ramping up the scale of attacks and bombardment that they're doing. So certainly, as you said, the next 48 to 72 hours are going to be very critical.
We've, of course, been focusing a lot on the Indian nationals stranded there and who've been trying to get out, and thankfully most do seem to have made it out. But there are still hundreds of students in particular who are stuck in Ukraine. I saw this evening that the Ministry of Defense here put out some advisories on what Indians can do in order to navigate their way through a war zone like this, including learning some very basic Russian words, describing those that they meet, who they are, etc. What would your advice be to people who are trying to walk or just find any means to get to a safer place?
See, Nidhi, I think anybody who's caught in the sort of conflict zone must move out from there. I mean, that's the first basic thing. And, move out with whatever little you can. Ultimately depend on the fact that you might have to walk on foot, and therefore take minimum things with you. Try and keep, people informed of where you are. Move out in groups. Don't try and break out on your own. It's unfortunate that, people are stuck in this and, innocent students from India. But I think the earlier they make a decision that they need to move out from there, whatever be the difficulty, I think it'll be more challenging if you're caught in a conflict zone than if you're out of it. So that would be my sort of advice.
Finally, General Hooda, how concerned are you, given India's own problems with China at the LAC, that this entire scenario might be pushing the Russians even closer to China? How does that complicate things for us?
So, Nidhi, the fact that China was and Russia were moving closer together is not something that is new. So, I mean, it's been happening. And certainly, as this conflict unfolds, and we've seen the kind of statements that have come out from China saying they're not supporting sanctions that have been given by the Western countries. So you will see Russia and China moving closer together. And that is something that we have to contend with in the future. Nidhi, at the end of the day, I think, countries will have to depend on themselves to navigate this very, very uncertain sort of geopolitical space. And so now India has to see, with these changed circumstances, with Russia, China moving closer together, with our problems with China on the LAC, as I said, I think ultimately we'll have to depend on our own and see how we need to, tackle these challenges that will come in the future.
All right, General Hooda, thank you very much, sir. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for giving us some perspective on this war and the larger implications for India.